Not sure why the video is not playing. Just a moment. Okay, in the meanwhile, we'll see the Fukushima accident till that video is being played so that your time is not wasted in it. Fine. So this is the last accident which you are going to see in this particular man-made disaster. So Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. So it is a Japanese Fukushima is a place in Japan. So what we are going to discuss today is the structure of the Fukushima nuclear power plant, causes of the accident, and how it affects daily events which led to the accident and consequences of the accidents. So nuclear power plant generate one or more nuclear reactors by using radioactive chemicals. So generally they use radioactive chemicals because it has a high potency of releasing energy, and hence that energy can be used for the benefit of human beings. So Fukushima Daiichi is among the world's largest power plants. It is the world's largest power plants even today. So it is located in Japan. So it is located on the eastern coast of Japan, and this earthquake which was there in the sea that was which caused the tsunami, it was very close to Japan, and it was the fifth largest recorded earthquake which we had seen the other day. So what its effect was there on the Fukushima power plant, we'll see. So cause of the accident, the 2011 Toho earthquake and tsunami was an 9 magnitude earthquake followed by tsunami waves. So it caused a large destruction in Japan. Even though Japan had a very good tsunami, you can say tsunami mitigation system, still it led to a lot of, you can say, problems in Japan. Tsunami has led to shutdown, had led to shutdown of three active reactors on this particular day. So what happened? The water came inside the reactors, and the this was once the water entered, reaction was there, and hydrogen explosion was happened in the unit 1. So dropping of internal pressure had led to explosion in unit 3. There was explosion. You can see how simultaneously the after one day after the other there was explosion after explosion. There was explosion in unit 4 fuel storage after the fire had started. So again, unit 1, 50% of the core was under threat from melting because the temperature was too high. Helicopters transported water for cooling, because if this was totally left uncontrolled, what would happen? The reaction would just escape into the atmosphere, and it would lead to a catastrophe. So cooling unit 3 with water cannons provided by police and fire department units. Unit 3 is considered cooling unit. So around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. light grey smoke is observed from the south part from the 6th floor from unit 3. White smoke seen in unit 2 until the morning of 22 March. It disappears. End of water feed of the spent fuel. So again, what happened was the disaster. The people tried to control, but it was left uncontrolled, and it led to several. You can say it led to a nuclear spill. So effects on life because of the released substances, many health problems were observed. Homes which were located within 30 kilometers around Fukushima had to be evacuated because it has a great potency. At the end of the accident, financial loss almost 150 billion euro. So euro is more or less, if you see today's rate, it is more or less equivalent to dollar, slightly more than dollar. After the disaster, released substances damaged the environment. So you can see the environment how it is now. So after the disaster, before the disaster how it was, and after the disaster how the trees and all everything was. So again, the assessment should be there. Utilitarianism, what utility should be there of the power plant, and how it should be, because it is an ethical responsibility. The ethical responsibility means not only the focus should be on cost benefit analysis, what we are getting from that particular reactor, but also what it will have, what social parameters it will be associated whenever the nuclear power plant is being established near a residential zone. Virtue ethics, again, the virtue of uh, the energy which was used, this needs to be studied, because again, that particular highly reactive chemicals which were used in the nuclear compound could have been, you can say, suitably less volatile compounds could have been used. Duty ethics, people did not follow the duty norms properly. If this had been done again, maybe the accident would have been avoided. So issues of analysis of issues in Fukushima nuclear disaster. So what happened was, uh, the result of this, after the natural disaster, rate of pollution increases because of nuclear waste. So the rate of pollution is still, it has increased because this has escaped in the atmosphere. The pollutants had escaped in the atmosphere, and the people who are living in the vicinity had to face severe, you can say, severe effects of that particular chemicals. Even if accident has happened, harms of leakage are kept in low levels. Authorities cannot stop the spread of leakage. Deadly illnesses occurred because it was bound to occur. No? Even they tried to build pour concrete and all, but still its effect was its effects was observed for a long duration. As a result of accident, loss of diseases, lot of diseases occurred, but it did not cause permanent damage to living things. So authorities took immediate action after release of leakage and prevented further in the operation. Authorities did not take precaution; they did not act rapidly. So this should have been done, but did not act rapidly. So what happened was, authorities did not act rapidly. The accident did not create permanent damage in humans. Researchers found mutated animals, pollution in environment increased. So now we'll see the video. Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir.
What I'll do now, I'll just directly go to YouTube and so clearly watch the subtitles, you'll be able to understand what exactly happened.
This is a visual illustration of the inner workings of the reactor and the key events of the Chernobyl disaster. Power plant had four nuclear reactors brought online over 6 years. Steam turbines were located in the adjacent turbine hall. Unit 4 had been making electricity for 3 years at the time of the disaster in 1986. The reactor was the RBMK-1000 type, 1960 design and the legacy of the nuclear power race, who were trying to be first to make undesirable shortcuts in the technological best practices and good ideas were not shared across the Iron Curtain, and Chernobyl paid the price. Propaganda was that it was a safe reactor and that it could not explode, which gave a false sense of security. Uranium fuel was only slightly enriched, resulting in a much larger reactor core. Western reactors are stable by design, but they heat up the nuclear reaction slows, which is what you want. Chernobyl was the opposite, where increased heat accelerated the reaction, setting it up to run away with itself. The technical term is positive void coefficient. Pumps and steam systems which fed the turbines were paired on either side, circulated enough coolant water to prevent overheating the fuel. Radioactive fuel was enclosed in a steel drum with a top and bottom lid. This was the radiation shielding which safeguarded the plant workers. Almost 2,000 vertical channels were arranged inside graphite bricks. Graphite is a favorite material for sustaining a nuclear chain reaction in low-grade uranium. These channels contain the uranium fuel assemblies and the control rods. The uranium pellets shown here in red were stuck inside sealed tubes. They heat the water, which turned the turbines to produce electricity. 10% of the channels held control rods shown here in green. Moving them in and out of the core did the job of the brakes and accelerator of the reactor. The RBMK core was huge. This is the relative size of the Fukushima core, which was 17 times smaller. Chernobyl had rudimentary containment. Here it is compared to the Japanese Fukushima reactor housing to the same scale. Fukushima had three containment layers: the pressure vessel, a steel lining, and the outer concrete layer. The Chernobyl reactor had just a one layer. The reactor was serviced from the reactor hall above. Cooling could be done while the plant was at full power. A big advantage of the RBMK design, but was only possible because there was no pressure vessel. This can be likened to driving without a seatbelt, convenient but not wise. Western reactors may only be refueled during a reactor shutdown. Chernobyl would not have been licensed in the West. The control room is located outside the reactor building in the lower levels of the turbine hall. It was accessed from the golden corridor that connected all units and was 600 meters long. It's ironic that this reactor blew up while testing if the reactor was safe. Control staff were under pressure to get the test done because the next chance of the test would be in a year. It's unthinkable that activating the emergency shutdown detonated this explosion. The sign quirk meant the shutdown mechanism briefly spiked the reaction before slowing it. In certain operating configurations, this is enough to send the reactor supercritical in seconds. The design fault in the AZ fire shutdown system was not communicated to the Chernobyl controllers. The chief engineer, who had poor knowledge of reactor science, recklessly bypassed multiple automated safety systems.
So this was the problem. The engineer, he just bypassed the, you can say, safety norms, because he was not unaware of the exact system, no? And then hence the problem was compounded.
Vast amounts of radiation were released directly into the atmosphere. Radioactive fuel was strewn all around the site. Large areas of Belarus and Ukraine were made uninhabitable. Finest radiation was carried much further and detected in low amounts across Europe, causing widespread fear and panic. The reactor lid, which weighed 1,000 tons, was blown up through the roof and landed back in the reactor lid on its side. Still, the radiation outflow to the outside world, an emergency concrete and steel cover was built in a hurry in just 200 days. They called this shield the sarcophagus. Built in heroic circumstances and never meant as the final solution. Cleanup activities in Chernobyl was bravely done by as many as 500,000 people called liquidators. Most were simply told to beware, uncertain how it would impact their life expectancy. They were waging a war against an invisible, self-inflicted enemy. Large quantities of equipment were involved and abandoned after contamination. 30 years later, the shield was rusting and cracking and leaking radiation. It was at risk from extreme weather and was going to collapse sooner or later. Permanent containment arc was constructed a safe distance away and rolled in place on rails in November 2016. The iconic Chernobyl ventilation stack was in the path of the new cover and was taken down and replaced with a smaller one. The new permanent cover was a success story of international cooperation. It took 15 days to roll the new arch in place, the largest movable land structure ever made. Finally, the air we all breathe properly sealed off and safe from this nuclear menace. The arch was equipped for dismantling and decommissioning this atomic nightmare. Chernobyl was the result of flawed reactor design, human stupidity, and erosion of safety culture. The fundamental failings of the Soviet system were laid bare at Chernobyl. The Soviet Union unraveled soon after. Ukraine was left to carry its burden and historical proportions. This day continues to be played as a political football by Russia. The rest of Chernobyl's reactors continues to run after the disaster. It returned in 1991 and was abandoned. The last reactor was switched off in 2000 after years of insistence. Russia to this day still operates 10 RBMK reactors at 3 locations and plans to run the last one until 2034. These units were retrofitted with safety modifications. This is the first town of Pripyat. It's a model town of 50,000 where the power plants are operated. Privilege to work in Russia. In many ways, it's a Soviet dream until it's evacuated one afternoon, the day after the explosion. Countless lives are devastated there forever by this tragedy. Chernobyl nightmare that dragged on for so long finally has a workable long-term plan. Cleanup will still run for decades. Chernobyl has become an ever more popular tourist stop. Hopefully it will retain the title the worst nuclear power disaster in history. Pripyat amusement park is days away from its mega opening. It was hastily opened early as a diversion to residents concerned about the obvious damage to the power plant. It would have been visible from the top of the Ferris wheel. Later in the day they were instructed to evacuate in 3 days, unaware they would not return. I hope you found this useful and enjoyed the video. If there is interest, we plan to make further videos on detailed aspects of Chernobyl.
So, hope you understood how the exact accident was there and how the people were displaced. The final thing which we are going to discuss in this module, impact of industrialization and rapid urbanization on the human health and the climate change. So, this is a bit small, so I'll just go through. So, it is a very general topic. You all have studied from your school days a lot of things in climate change and industrialization, but from the exam point of view, you should. I'm going to show you some key figures which you should try to include. All of you can write very good essays on industrialization and rapid urbanization and population explosion and all these things. I'll not go into detail about that, but what is important is your, if the question is just for 5 marks or 6 marks, you should restrict yourself to what key parameters should be written. So some figures you should always try to include some sort of, you can say, flow charts or some sort of diagrams, which will be, you need not write essays and essays, and but if you just include some key, you can say a key flow chart or key chart, something like that, it would be always appreciated, and the examiner will also feel comfortable that you have understood something. Okay. So generally see the Earth's climate. If you show something like that, na. So I will share this file again with you in the Google Classroom. So you can of course you can study it. So Earth's climate. Uh, there are internal factors like volcanic emission, mountain building, continental drift, atmosphere, ocean heat exchange, surface reflectivity, atmospheric reflectivity, which contribute to the Earth's climate. And there are also extraterrestrial factors like the solar output, the Earth's and geometry, the interstellar dust, and all these affect the Earth's climate in general. These are the natural factors. Now, what happens is because of these factors, because of these factors generally include variations in the Earth's orbital characteristics, atmospheric carbon dioxide variations, because we all have studied no, what is the atmosphere, what is the percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It is around almost 0.3%. No? 0.3% of the total atmosphere is occupied by carbon dioxide. So now that 0.3% is increasing. So this is again causing imbalance in the atmosphere. Volcanic eruptions and all, volcan variations in the solar output, these all affect the atmosphere. And what happens now? We have studied in the first module about the global warming and the various greenhouse gases. Na? Like if you are, I have given an example like sitting in a car, na, which is parked under the sun. What will happen? Even with the outside if you park the car in sun house, say for 2 hours or so, and just when you enter the car after 2 hours, it will be heated, na, quite heated. Even if the outside temperature would be say 25 degree or 30 degree, but if you enter the car, you will feel like it is 50 degree or 60 degree. Why? Because there are the heat, it comes in but it is not allowed to escape. So there is so these such gases which are there, such heat which is there due to these gases are known as greenhouse gases, which are trapped, and they are not, they come in but they are not allowed to escape. So these gases are there which lead to the increase in temperature. Greenhouse gases of course are important because without that our vegetation will not be there, but too much of the greenhouse gases will lead to a disaster. So link between anthropogenic greenhouse gases, industrialization, and climate change again. Uh, these all industrial gases are there, which affect, of course, industrial activities or anthropogenic activities, cement production, even other manufacturing activities are carried out. They lead to a lot of release of greenhouse gases. Like even the refrigerators and all, they release the CFC gases and all, which are say 1,000 times more harmful than the normal, you can say, normal carbon dioxide or all, which would have been there. So what is happening is we are now causing a lot of disaster, lot of you can say problems. And even you have studied in your school days about the ozone layer depletion and all, because these all things are there, these are chemicals are there which are causing the problem. So this statistics you may remember, and you can relate in your exam. So gases, so many gases are there. Approximate lifetime and global warming potential related to CO2 at different time horizons of various greenhouse gases. So these are the various greenhouse gases. These are the most important. Carbon dioxide. So generally potential global warming potential for a given original times. So this is in years. So it has an that particular global warming. It will cause the global warming for 1 year. So you can just imagine if this amount of carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere, its life expectancy this many years, it will cause a global warming for almost 1 year. So this is the global warming potential, you can imagine. So how many years will be affected due to sulfur dioxide? You can just see 16,000 years. So what will be the current impact of that particular uh, e- that particular disaster? So that is a severe matter of concern. You can just see how the concentration of these all gases increasing. In 1750, it was carbon dioxide was 278 parts per million. In 1998, it is 365 parts per million. Even if you, somebody computes and somebody comes up with a study in 2020, it would have been increased in further. Likewise, all other gases have increased. What is happening is they are leading to a severe ecological crunch. So again, uh, carbon influx by arrows, so natural influx is there of carbon. So carbon dioxide is taken up by the, you can say, by the vegetables for their production of food. Again in the night time, because they also require oxygen, so they produce oxygen. So again it sends back the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Again with the oceans also the carbon dioxide is exchanged. And if you see the industries now, they only, what is done is only one way traffic is there. Flux, the environmental flux is only contributing the carbon dioxide and not absorbing any carbon dioxide. Again, you can see how over the years the carbon emission, carbon, you can say, footprint has increased. So forestry and all, agriculture and other users had very less carbon emissions, but the cement and other industries, they are producing too much of carbon for their activities. So irreversible trends, like we had discussed in the first module, no? The temperature, average temperature has increased from, during the past century, has increased from zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.8. So what has led? It has led to more heat and more, you can say, more, now because of more heat, what has happened is more water is being evaporated, more water is evaporated, so there are more rains. And what has happened? Not only more rains, but the places where the rainfall was, you can say, it was not equitable, but at least fair places, other places would get a fair share of rainfall. But some places have become completely arid, like if you go in Africa and all. Even the other day, in Mumbai and all, if you see the last 20-25 years, the rainfall has increased like anything, because previously the rainfall was not so heavy. It was there, but it was during certain durations. But now what has happened is it has become so heavy, and that climate has totally changed. The rainfall duration has also shifted. Initially the rainfall in Mumbai and all, in Konkan in Mumbai, used to start in the first week of June, but now the trend is shifting towards the end of June and all. Again, sometimes it starts earlier also, but nothing is fixed, but the trend is changing. So what it has led to a lot of problems which are there. Again, a lot of studies there on carbon footprint. So what is happening is, um, you can see the carbon dioxide concentration is increasing over the years. The study has been done by some people. Again, the greenhouse gases, annual greenhouse gases, you can see industrial process contribute almost 17% to the greenhouse gases. And power stations, they contribute, waste disposal, land using, residential and commercial other sources, fossil fuels retrieval, agriculture, transportation, and all these sectors contribute. So it is a grave area of concern. So again, what happens due to this is, you on human beings are severely affected. These all, let's say, figures and stats you can quote in your answers. So impact on natural resources, as the natural resources have been, the yield has been falling. Why? Because look, if there is a sudden rainfall, again the floods are there and the crops are destroyed. If there is no rainfall, also the same thing is there. So everything, if it is done, it is moderate. If it is done in moderate levels, it is good. Heavy rainfalls is also not good, and drought is also not good. What is happening? Places which were drought prone are becoming more drought prone, whereas places where the rainfall was there, it is receiving heavy rainfall. And in between, some places are there which are at the two ends of the spectrum. There is high drought at some years and heavy rainfall at some years. Like if you see the other day, in Jaipur and Rajasthan, these all places, there was severe rainfall. Say 65 years record was broken of rainfall. So these all cases are also seen. So carrying capacity, because uh, carrying capacity for the earth, and because we are using, it is estimated that the earth, the ecosystem replenishes itself every year. the earth replenishes itself, no, because of its natural process. So what is happening now? It is estimated that if the earth replenishes by 100%, we are using the natural resources by 150%. That means almost 1.5 times we are exploring the natural resources, and the earth is not getting sufficient time. So a time is bound to come if we don't stop our activities, or we don't put a lid on the control of our anthropogenic activities, that it will lead to a severe crunch of natural, can say, can natural materials or materials which are available, and it will lead to a severe, can say, ecological imbalance. Again, mechanisms of climate change affecting health. This you can quote. So climate change causes what it causes. It causes indirect exposures, change in water and quality, and all this will again cause the, because you will drink the water, or you will go in the locals, you will breathe there, so it will lead to what? Will lead to health disorders, social and economic disruption. Like if you see, this pandemic is there, and then all, it is a social disruption, we can say. It results in health impacts. These all things result in health impact. And environmental conditions are changed, social conditions are changed, health condition systems are changed. So all leads to health impact. So again, these all fact, climate dependent infectious diseases are there. So many diseases, new diseases have come in the recent past. Zika virus and all, and this coronavirus. So again, you can see a place in Nigeria where it is not too prone to floods and all. So suddenly, if floods are come, and they just devastate the crops and all. So industrialization leads to social transformation, economic transformation, technological innovation, leads to physiological change, poor social behavior and social responsibility, irresponsibility, environmental pollution, which is caused by human beings, heightened greenhouse gases, and global warming and all this. Again, there is a far-reaching effects. This document I'll share. You can just read. So with this, we have completed the module 2